edition of the weekly Dragon Warrior Randomizer races, this being the last week of November 2018, and we have quite the lineup tonight. Looks like we got about 10 runners signed up for the weekly race, including Beta Strep, BT, Geocaja, JJ Schmid 77, Martha SR, Mr. Holmes, Ness Cardinality, Smashy, Tierranex, and Edgeworth. We see 4 of those runners being featured live on our restream tonight, and all of which are going, let's see, Big Z, Little D, those are all strength HP builds. Capital B, I'll need some help on that one, but yeah, welcome. So everybody is almost readied up. We're moments away from getting started on this race tonight. It's going to be great. I think our restreamer Skoosin might be filling in with commentary duties as well. So what's going on?
Hey, nothing much. I'm looking forward to another good race. The last 2 Wednesday races were jet seeds, less than an hour. So I'm wondering if we're going to have that again or if this might be a long one.
Yeah, it's hard to tell until we get started, but you know, I've been noticing that the player pool, especially the ones we have here tonight, have been getting better and better. It used to be that the sort of average winning time would be around an hour and a half, and now I feel like in order to win one of these races, you're going to be targeting, you know, around an hour and 15 minutes or so, even on kind of a quote-unquote normal seed. So you know, look for things to happen quickly, even if there are some challenges thrown their way. But you never know, we could have one of those 2-hour seeds, or we could have a jet seed. So it's always fun the first 5 minutes to see how they handle the start.
Test.
And we are, I believe, racing on standard flags tonight. There's been some talk of beginning some chaos races and potentially forming a chaos league so that we can enjoy that version. But tonight, we're going with the standard flags, just like we saw in the recent tournament. I believe we're still on the same version of the software. And so everything's quite familiar for our runners, so we're going to see lots of efficiency. And off they go.
All right, and so for everyone who's might be watching for the first time, we are paying close attention to what chests we see in this opening room. We have some gold. We have an outside spell on everyone. We see a torch.
Yeah, now you can't get out of the throne room with the outside spell. You would need the return spell. So right now, the gold is their main asset, and you see some runners choosing to go back into the throne room to save their gold so that they could potentially find a nearby town to spend that gold for some early equipment, especially if they don't have much in the way of early strength. I didn't catch what their strength score was when they all checked it, but we do have red slimes in the immediate area, as seen by Smashy, so it shouldn't be too tough to get off the ground if you can find a few red slimes. And we have coal nearby for Ness Cardinality. There is a search spot available here, and he's going to check the weapon shop for the hand axe, and there is a hand axe very quickly available. So all of the runners are going to want to take advantage of their early gold to upgrade to the hand axe. They only had a strength score of 5, so it's going to be critical to get that early weapon. And the search spot here has nothing, so no armor just yet, but it's nice to get the early weapon, and it is slightly off screen, so if they don't all go in that direction, they may not see it, but it looks like all their featured runners so far have found it. And interestingly, we see Martha SR taking the long walk around to the item shop to spend the remainder of his money, potentially getting some herbs and torches. There are wings available in this particular shop, as well as the dragon scale for another defense boost. And some of our other runners, including Ness Cardinality, now reaching level 2. Only a 2 power gain here, so the early weapon even more important. But there's Hurtmore on level 2. So getting off the ground for those first 5 experience points are going to be absolutely critical. The faster you get to level 2, the faster you can start the seed here. You see Nest Cardinality is already beginning his mapping process, doing a couple of little pauses while he gets his pencil and paper ready to rock this map. He's going out into the world very early on. You know, as soon as you have Hurt More, you can use that to your advantage. He's got 11 MP to work with. That's enough to cast Hurt More twice. Unfortunately, the Magidrake takes him down, but he'll get a refresh on those stats by visiting the throne room. And he's going to look to use that Hurt More spell to his advantage. BT is exploring that same desert region to the north, and the same Magidrake puts him down. So a little bit lacking defensively so far until we get a few more early levels. And Smashy having some trouble getting off level 1 here. This Scorpion is too strong right now. But yeah, critical to get those 5 early experience points to get level 2, which has Hurt More in the seed. Smashy looking for that red slime, which he saw nearby. That would put him over the top. Unfortunately, just 1 step away from Tantegel Castle finds the Rogue Scorpion, which means that the zones are skewed off to the southeast. And he was, I think, just 1 step north and 1 step west, and he was in a totally random zone. So, you can see BT finding a wolf just a few steps north of the castle. So he's in the north zone already there. And the wolf's actually a really nice enemy to just grind on once you get Hurt More, really in the early levels, if you wanted to stay there just for a couple of minutes, because you have a decent chance of not getting ambushed by much stronger enemies, and wolves are worth 40 experience each, so it might be worth sticking around for a minute or so. But instead, BT finds a stone man just a few steps away, and that's an example of an enemy you don't want to run into just yet.
I noticed
Yep, go ahead.
I noticed that we have heal at level 3, and also we have a new spell at level 4, and I'm just watching NES Cardinality's screen to see if we can get a glimpse of what it is, because what other spells that we might be able to use to maybe bring down the large creatures, maybe incapacitate them like sleep, might be helpful in this situation, because they have a lot of very difficult creatures around Tantegel Castle. So we have a hand axe, we have Hurt More, but I'm wondering if they can find some defense along the way, either from a level or just by getting out of this area and finding a decent shop.
Yeah, I missed what else was in that shop in Cole, but you know, most of them have spent the majority of their money. Once you get Hurt More, though, it's really like you want to be pretty offensive. Unfortunately, we saw in this Cardinality, got ambushed by the Druid and then stop spelled, and then was unable to run away because they still have fairly low agility on these early levels, and then the Druid turned out to have Dragon Lord Breath. So he got sent back to the castle the hard way. So sometimes even when you get this early spell, like here's a situation, the werewolf is like 50-50 to go down in 1 shot from the Hurt More. And that's huge for Nest Cardinality that it was enough that time, because that's 95 experience. And he's now 1 experience point short of level 6, I believe. So that was a big one. And the Joel Magi is a great find as well. Survives the baby breath, and he's going to Hurt More the Joel Magi. So, you know, some good fortune there that the werewolf didn't survive that hit. And Nest Cardinality's off the ground, level 6. So now once you get through these few levels, all of a sudden a lot of these enemies are less likely to ambush you. Of course, the Wraith Knight ambush next Cardinality as soon as I say that, but you just want to find a way to get off the ground without getting stuck here. And we have Swamp South for BT, and he's going to venture through. See what's on the other side here. Armor Knight too strong for Smashy. With Hurt More, oftentimes you can land 2 Hurt Mores to take down an Armor Knight for a lot of experience, but not until you have enough HP to withstand their counterattack. So right now we're on a fairly low HP seed. We see Smashy leaving the throne room on level 5 with only 22 hit points. That's going to be pretty challenging. Even just the baby breath here, he was in danger of dying, and he does die to 2 consecutive baby breath attacks from the Stone Man. So low HP is going to be the early challenge here as they try and navigate through these next few levels with Hurt More.
On BT's screen, he tries some RNG manipulation to try and get that critical, and he gets it.
All right, Metal Slime in the books for BT, and he has taken the experience lead. And there are some locations nearby, and with Hawksness, and the Hurt More spell, there's a chance that you could go attack the search spot enemy, but ambushed by a werewolf, and again, they don't have enough even to survive one attack right now with this low HP total. So back to the castle goes BT. That really is going to be the challenge right now. We're going to see more deaths than normal because they just don't have enough hit points yet. So if they can just get another level or two, they will probably be much better off. But right now, just they're doing what they can. They want to explore the map as quickly as possible. Once they do have the offensive power to take on most enemies in the game here. Even the Spectre here is a nice enemy, hurt moreable for Marth SR. And Marth SR is taking the tactic of just kind of sticking around these early zones. The north zone here has the wolf, of course, so another nice enemy. Well, Nest Cardinality seems to be doing further exploration, and BT is also notorious for exploring the map early as well. So level 7 for BT and Nest Cardinality, and looks like Marth SR is going to look for some defensive upgrades at the coal shop. The chainmail is available here, so that's actually a nice boost for just 300 gold. Smart move by Marth SR, and that will allow him to take a little bit less damage from some of these medium-sized enemies that are occasionally still ambushing the runners here. Survive that first hit with just 29 hit points. That might be a nice thing to have that defense. Smashy is still exploring just around the castle, and he's going to make his way northwest, I believe. This is the direction where BT eventually found the swamp cave over in the grasslands here. And there it is. So swamp south for Smashy. See what he decides to do with it. And BT has made it again to the search spot in Hawksnest. Unfortunately, has been ambushed by the Armored Knight, so he's not going to be able to take him down in 2 hits unless it has something like a stop spell up its sleeve to waste a turn, but nope. Another death on the search spot for BT. I'll be curious to know if he wants to go back there for a 3rd time to try his luck at potentially getting an early Erdrick's Armor. We've already seen one of the search spots in coal, so there's now a 50-50 chance that Erdrick's Armor is sitting right there in Hawksnest. And it is a beatable enemy right now. We saw on level 8, BT did get a nice HP boost. So that enemy is beatable. Is he going to go back there, or is he going to go a different direction? That's the question.
It's tough to say, because obviously if Erdrick's Armor is there, that's something you absolutely need to get a lead on this race. But at the same time, if you just keep pushing your head against this one enemy again and again, that's not a short walk. That's going to take a lot of time that you could be spending finding another valuable town, or even just leveling off of enemies that are nearby to get you powerful enough to actually make the fight easier. But it does look like Smashy is going to make an attempt soon as well. Let's see how he does.
And I see BT did the smart thing, and he went in to get the chainmail from the shop, and that will help with his fight if he wants to go and retry the Armored Knight, take a little bit less damage.
Oh, that's a sleep spell.
Yeah, so that's interesting as well. I thought that they do have... They started with Stop Spell, did they not? Or I might be mixing up my seeds now, but if they have Stop Spell in their arsenal, that could be an interesting attempt.
I may have missed it if it was. Yeah.
No, I just saw that they don't have it yet. So you know, it's still worth just trying, because you only need 2 turns potentially. If you don't get ambushed, you need 2 turns to take down an Armored Knight. So if it doesn't cast Sleep and it doesn't ambush you, then you know, you could potentially have Erdrick's Armor right now. So BT is going to try for a 3rd time. Doesn't get ambushed this time, and he doesn't get put to sleep. So here we go. I think he's going to get him, unless he misses with the Hurt More, which is rare. Takes him down. That's good experience in the meanwhile. So he's got level 9. And as soon as he's done with that level up, we're going to see what's in the search spot here. And Smashy is right back there as well.
There it is.
Okay. So the runners that go that direction and go ahead and persist on getting this Erdrick's Armor here are going to have a very nice advantage. And I just missed which was in the Stones Cave. Marth SR picked up something out of that chest in the Stones Cave. All right, there were some wings. Thank you to our tracker, CyberDark86, doing an excellent job.
So here's a curious question. I don't think BT's was ever affected by a sleep spell by the Armored Knight, so I don't think he even realizes just how dangerous that fight was.
Yeah, and oftentimes that's good information to have when you know that's an enemy that you might encounter later in Charlotte Castle, which we see it on the screen right near the exit to the Swamp Cave, so they'll know how to get to Charlotte Castle later on in the game. But yeah, anytime you encounter a Charlotte enemy that has a special ability, you're going to want to make a note of that, so that on your dive later in the game, you could either potentially, you know, if you're on a borderline situation, you might want an extra level to be able to deal with that situation, or you might want a little bit of extra MP to cast stop spell on those enemies. Kind of depends on the situation, but it's good information to have, and so far BT does not have that information, so let's see if that comes into play later.
So Martha SR just herbed up in town, and it looks like he's maybe preparing for a long trek. In this kind of situation...
Yeah, and we have Rimodar here by Nest Cardinality, by the way, so we do have keys available in this town, and he has gotten the keys, and he is going to check the chest here for the fairy water. There's a broadsword available in that shop, but nothing too much more significant than that. And it's kind of out of the way, so he'll probably not come back here for that. But yeah, go ahead. And Smashy has found Brockenary, and he's going to go get some items from the item shop in Brockenary.
In this situation, I wonder if Marth and NES Cardinality know that Erdrick's armor could have easily been found by now, because BTs and Smashy both found Hawksness very quickly, but right now, Martha and NES Cardinality, they don't have a lead on any of the MacGuffins, they don't have Erdrick's sword, they don't have Erdrick's armor. I wonder if they know that they might be behind in this position.
Oh no, they definitely don't know. It's just all a matter of which way you went when you're exploring the map. Nest Cardinality seems to be going north quite a bit from Tantegel Castle. You had to go quite a bit to the southwest and across all those grasslands to find the Swamp Cave. And then you had to actually survive the trip through the Swamp Cave. And once you popped out the other side, then Hawksnest was right there. But yeah, the two runners on our top screens have not gone that direction. And they may not end up going there for a while. It's all about how you route your way through the map. And so if Nest Cardinality continues going north, you know, he may not find Erdrick's armor for quite a long time. It's not like a game killer to not have the armor. It's very helpful in many ways, but it's definitely not like a game ender the way it would be like if they found the sword in the first 5 minutes or something like that and didn't have hurt more, for example. But it's definitely a pretty big advantage. You know, they won't have to buy any more armor for the rest of the game, and having that armor equipped gives you some heal walking. It gives you easier access through all these swamps, take less damage from Dragonlord Breath. So, you know, there's a lot of advantages to having that early. But and here we go. Nest Cardinality actually has found the Swamp Cave. So he will, if he makes it through here, and I think they have outside now too, so he'll take the short route through by casting outside. And I think he'll get the news momentarily here. Oh, so of our 4 runners, just Marth SR has not gone that way, but meanwhile he has found the grave. And so, you know, we are looking for some quest items eventually, right? So here's a chance to open some treasure chests and potentially get, like we see here, Erdrick's token is sitting right here in a chest. So first quest item is in the books from Marth SR. Death Necklace is also a very nice item if they eventually get some hit points. This has been kind of a low HP seed. And looks like Nest Cardinality was put to sleep, unfortunately. So he's going to have to come back here if he wants to check that. And I missed what was in the third chest in the grave.
It was just an herb.
Okay, and he does not have keys yet, didn't find Rimildar, so he made no effort to go to the bottom 2 chests. But there's another dungeon right next door, and this might be the other major dungeon, and it is. So both the Mountain Cave and the Grave are right next to each other. And he manages to run from Red Dragon number 1. Let's see what happens on number 2. I assume they don't have a whole lot of agility just yet on level 9, but he gets away from the second Red Dragon. That would be pretty seriously good luck to be able to make it off of this floor. to be able to find some of these treasure chests. And so far, 2 fortunate run attempts. He's first going to check the first chest, which is on the top floor here, and it is the Stones of Sunlight. So those 2 great run attempts from the Red Dragon, succeeding in getting the second quest item, Stones of Sunlight. This is a situation where if you die to one of these Red Dragons in that first encounter, you might not come back to this mountain cave for quite a while. And so the fact that he managed to do it and got that one quest item, now there are still 4 chests that he has not opened. But, you know, that was pretty nice. So he's got the stones and the token, and the rest of our runners are going to need to find those 2 caves.
It's very interesting because we have the token and stones right next to each other, but it seems like the only thing in that dungeon is red dragons, and I guarantee that not everyone's going to have as fortunate luck as Martha SR. And right now, I'm sure Martha must be thinking, does he go back in there, or does he just go in another direction? Because that's not going to be easy to traverse that, and he's not going to get so many successful runs coming up, I'm sure.
And Martha SR has found Hawksness by casting outside through the swamp cave as well. So pretty soon here, he will have his attempt against the Armored Knight. And I don't see Nest Cardinality in that vicinity right now. So I don't know if he was successful on getting the armor or not. We don't have it marked off for him. But here is Martha SR's attempt, and he promptly gets put to sleep. And he does wake up on the first try, and he's going to run away instead of attempting this fight, which to me feels like, I feel like you sort of have to make the gamble here and go after this enemy with hurt more. I guess his plan is to come back here later when he learns the stop spell, which BT does have stop spell available on level 11, so it won't be that long of a wait if that's what he chooses to do. But in the meanwhile, he won't have the Erdrick's armor that our bottom 2 runners do have, so interesting development there. But he is going in that direction, so maybe he's just going to try it again.
So looking at the levels, the runners aren't too far apart. Like, yes, there's certainly a significant difference between 11 and 9, but this isn't the situation where they're looking to gain levels. They're all looking for those objectives. They're all looking for the armor in case of top 2 runners, and they all want that sword. That sword's gonna be a big deal, but right now they still have that axe, all 4 of them. So if they can just do some sort of upgrade, that's gonna be huge for them.
So by the way, look at how terrible the agility score still is. So for Martha SR to be able to run from a couple of red dragons and grab that stones, that was pretty serious, because you generally cannot run from red dragons with 35 agility points. But yeah, besides that, you made a good point that, you know, when you get these early hurt more seeds, generally speaking, the experience will come. It's just, you know, as you're traversing the map, there's just plenty of experience to be had. BT finding a Droll Magi, which is an easy kill, for example. So it's just, at that point, it really is about trying to traverse and cover the map as quickly as you can, and sort of like the experience will just take care of itself. So you're right. What they want to do is just find these locations on the map as quickly as possible. So here's BT finding the Stones Cave. He'll grab the wings out of there, but you know, somewhere kind of, it's, I think, to the west somewhere, where both of those dungeons were right next to each other, and those are pretty important. The quest items are hiding in there in those chests. And there's the armor for Martha SR. So I didn't catch if Nest Cardinality actually got the armor, but
he's definitely not wearing it.
Okay. So he may be coming back there once the stop spell is learned at level 11. It looks like he does not have it yet on level 10. So he's just doing some other exploration in the meanwhile. It's not, like I said, he's probably not too worried about not having the armor. He knows that he'll get it eventually. And it's not really slowing down how quickly he can gain experience, because of course he does have hurt more. So right now he's just going to go get these coordinates, which we know are not needed because the token is in the grave and the armor is on the Hawk's Nest tile, but he doesn't have the knowledge of either of those. So he's going to go ahead and get these coordinates, and if they're fairly easy, he might waste some time actually counting them out. So Sometimes just the order in which your routing takes you just is more or less fortunate. Now that's not an easy set of coordinates. We got 94 and 98. So he'll write that down quickly and probably not try to count that out anytime soon. And he's going to try and preserve his position on the map by walking slowly out of these barrier tiles. So this is a lot of time spent just in town, not gaining experience for Nest Cardinality, having to try and trudge through these barrier tiles. And the more time you spend running around in town, the more your clock is ticking on, trying to finish out the seed. So some unfortunate routing for Nest Cardinality, especially since he doesn't yet have the armor that the other runners have. And BT now, I think this is Brockenary. Oh no, he's got Rimildar now up in the middle of that giant swamp, so he's got access to keys as well.
At this point, do you think it might be safe to say that Erdrick's Sword is probably in Charlock? Because we certainly have other chests to check, that is definite, but we also have all those chests in Charlock that are just sitting there, and no one has any idea. All 4 runners haven't seen it, despite taking very different directions across the map. So I'm just wondering, could it actually be there?
It could easily be there. I think it's too early to tell. I didn't catch if Nest Cardinality, after acquiring keys, has already opened the chests in Tantegel Castle, or and we haven't seen the ones in the back of Garenham. So there are still a bunch of chests. There's the 4 chests in the bottom of the mountain cave that Marthasar was unable to get to as well, and a couple in the bottom of the grave. So we've got some work to do with exploration, but right now, since they have Hurtmore, I think finding Erdrick's Sword would be less of a big game changer. So wherever it happens to be, it'll be. But if it is in Charlock, what may happen is that some of the runners might take their time, fully exploring all the dungeons, just looking for it, just so that they don't miss it. Whereas sometimes if you find it early, it can save you a trip, like, for example, trying to get through the rest of that mountain cave. Maybe it won't be required if Marthasar finds the harp somewhere else, and finds the sword, But if you don't have the sword, oftentimes you don't really want to gamble that it is in Charlock when, you have other chests that haven't been opened yet. So that's often a tactical decision that runners will have to make, depending on, how convenient it is to double back and open some chests that you couldn't open before, or, if you want to make a run into Charlock and go for it. So we'll have to see. And you're right, everyone's still on the axe, and right now weapon upgrades haven't really been priority since Hurtmore has been acquired, but yeah, interesting. Looks like just a lot of map is being covered. We have Tablet Cave now for BT, and he hasn't found any quest items yet, so he'll be hoping for something important in here. And this was kind of an out-of-the-way cave, so if the sword happens to be over here, that would be interesting. Nest Cardinality likes to do these dungeons in the dark, and I believe he's also in the Tablet Cave, yeah, so he'll cast outside. Smashy has found the pair of dungeons, by the way, so he could be making some pretty good progress. He's on level 11 now, and so he'll have a better chance of surviving. He took a peek into the mountain cave and just exited. I think he wants to make sure he knows what this other cave is before potentially diving into a dungeon and maybe taking a death warp out. If he has keys, he might be thinking of death warping out to set up a potential gold grind somewhere, for example. But he checks out both caves and then goes back to Mountain Cave first. So I'll be curious on what his plan is. Maybe he won't death warp out of this one because he knows the other one is just sitting right over there. So he might cast outside from this one and then take a death warp out of the grave, for example. So interesting play there for him to just make sure he knows the lay of the land before committing to one of these dungeons. And he's having some good luck not finding red dragons on the top floor of Mountain Cave. This is a very tough floor to get through, but he's coming close to getting to the Stones of Sunlight here. And Metal Slime gets away, but here he goes. He's got the chest and he's got the stones, so... some good fortune Smashy not getting the nasty encounters that we saw earlier.
It's really incredible how much he's not seeing red dragons, but at the same time Marth saw them and he escaped them for the most part, so it's just like, the luck in here is very unusual.
Yeah, and he still hasn't found any red dragons, I don't think, and
he's probably loving it here.
Metal Slimes instead, so he's like, oh, this is a great place. And of course, once he gets down these stairs, the zone will change for him, so that, you know, there's a good chance that the red dragons will not be down in the lower levels. So if he could just get one more step and get down the stairs, there's a good chance he'll get the rest of the chests now that Martha Sar was unable to get. So interesting, like you said, just how much luck is involved with some of the encounters and different things like that for the different runners. And now we have Nescardinality. Now that he's acquired Stop Spell, he's going back to the Armored Knight Square, which fortunately does not put him to sleep with the ambush. Oh, wait a minute. He doesn't have Stop
10.
Spell yet. He's still level 10, and so 2 swings from the Axe Knight was enough to put him down. I guess it was just part of his routing. He was just kind of in the area, so he thought he'd take another shot at it.
Now, the curious question here is, even if he did cast Stop Spell in at night, if the knight decided to just attack twice, wouldn't that just be it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that earlier on he died because he was put to sleep. So I felt like he was staying away, you know, until he learned Stop Spell. But you know, now that he still hasn't learned it, maybe he's just getting anxious and just wants to take another shot at it. They have more hit points now, and they have more. You know, he's got the large shield now, so maybe he figures he's got a better shot to withstand, you know, 2 attacks, let's say. That time he was unable to, but sometimes if it rolls a little lower, you know, he might be able to withstand 2 attacks at this point. So, you know, in case he gets ambushed or something like that. The ambush rate is directly related to your agility score, by the way, and as of at least at level 9, they had a very low agility score. So I don't know what it is up around levels 10 and 11, but you can see that they continue to get ambushed by some of the very strong monsters. So yeah, still 39 agility for Nescardinality, so that factored into why he got ambushed again from that Armored Knight. And so he's continuing to stay away from that fight, and he's going to go do other things while the rest of our runners already have Erdrick's armor. So kind of unfortunate that things worked out that way for Nescardinality, but that's Randomizer for you.
Yeah, and just the same, Smashy wasn't extremely fortunate either. Both those chests just had gold in them, so still looking for more MacGuffins, still looking for that sword. But
I like that Smashy basically, you know, in theory, the Mountain Cave is the shorter and easier dungeon, so he went back to Mountain Cave first, used Outside, and now he's going directly into the grave without refreshing anywhere. And he's going to attempt to do both of these dungeons and then potentially Death Warp out of here. If he manages this, that would be very efficient routing for Smashy.
Now, here's the concerning point here. Now, Marth never actually got all the way through that cave. He got escorted out. And he might be going back in for a second dive thinking, I gotta see what's in those chests. But unfortunately for him, there's nothing he wants in there. So Smashy has that advantage in that when he is done with this cave, he is done. He doesn't need to come to his party map anymore.
And here come the red dragons again. And so if he continues to keep coming in here and keep getting you know, beat by these red dragons, he just gets 2-shot again by the red dragon. So yeah, he's in that situation where there's 4 more chests that he hasn't seen, and he could just he might keep coming in there. He might walk all the way to where those dungeons are and wants to keep going in there looking for the harp. And you know, by the time he actually gets off that top floor, it might be just a lot of wasted time because we know that, you know, the harp's not in there. So you're right. So just the difference in the encounters, he's getting all the red dragons for whatever reason, and Smashy is already out of the dungeons now. Does Smashy not have keys because he's out of the grave quicker than I anticipated?
I haven't seen him pick any up yet. But what he does have, fortunately for him, is kind of like a map exploration advantage. Like, Marth definitely has the stones and a token, but he's in a situation where he needs to explore at the bottom of that cave. He just has to, because there's so many chests on the table. But Smashy pretty much has open areas ahead of him where he might find something new.
So look at this though, like Smashy just found Garanham to the north of those dungeons and doesn't have keys. So again, there's 3 more chests back there, and there's another cave location back there. It's starting to be a problem for Smashy because he's going to have to redouble back to all these locations after he finally finds Rimildar. So far, I haven't seen any magic keys available in treasure chests. You know, so if it sounds like, it looks like he doesn't have keys yet. I mean, I know at least Nest Cardinality and BT both have keys, and it looks like Marth SR just now found Rimildar, so he's got keys. So the longer it takes Smashy to find Rimildar, unfortunately for him, he's going to have to double back to all these places later. Whereas that routing could have worked out perfectly for him if he could have done the Mountain Cave and the Grave all in one go, and then gone up to Garanham, healed up at the inn, and, like, you know, explored the backside of Garanham kind of all in one, you know, walk there.
It's kind of interesting because we're looking at all the runners and they're all having very unique challenges here. As you pointed out, Smashy definitely, he lacks keys, and he has Cardinality. Got hit 3 times in a row by the Armored Knight after being put to sleep. Marth SR has the bottom of that cave, and Smashy just can't find those caves to begin with. So I'm
actually quite curious. Nest Cardinality now does have level 11, and so I believe he does have Stop Spell now, correct? So yeah. I think he's on his way back to Hawksness yet again. I was curious to see if he was going to do that, and he is going in that direction. So I think now that he has Stop Spell, he might try that against the Armored Knight, and he's got a bunch more hit points as well. So he's got a very good chance to at least, you know, defeat that enemy one time now.
Definitely. He has everything he needs.
But again, he's had to go back. Well, he's not even going in there now. This is a surprise. I thought for sure that he'd go back in there with the Stop Spell available, but regardless... alright, so that's interesting. I'm very surprised that he didn't go back there.
Could he... He can't possibly be trying to go for coordinates. He doesn't have the GPS, and he doesn't know where this is in relation to Tanageal.
Well, interestingly, he just cast Outside to go through Swamp Cave. So, you know, Gwaelin is sitting right there. So, if he wanted the coordinates, he could have just grabbed the princess on the way through. We don't know what that spike tile is yet, I don't think. But, yeah, if that was on his mind, I would have thought that he would have gone after the princess on that last trip through the Swamp Cave. But, yes, I'm not totally sure what he's looking for, because he just checked the shop there in Brockenary.
He might be looking for armor to help give him an edge again in that fight, because it was only a short walk from Hawksness, and he might just be thinking, while I'm over here, I'm going to map this out.
Yeah, you may be right. And one of the early towns, I think Cole, right next to the, you know, the castle, had at least the chainmail, which he could easily afford by now. We're showing that he has no armor at this point. I'm going to get a look now at these chests in Tantegel, which I hadn't seen before. So we had the torch, and there's an extra key in there, and another key. So that's where all the keys are hiding. They're behind the key lock door, and a dragon scale. So no actual gold grind available unless the basement here has something interesting.
And actually, I may have missed it. The staff and harp were acquired by BTs, making this a much more interesting race.
Oh, I completely missed where he found those, so that is interesting. My guess is they might be in the back side of the town of Garanham.
Yeah, back at Garanham.
Yeah, and again, Smashy was unable to go back there because he had no keys. So, and finally now Smashy does have keys. We are 34 minutes into a very fast seed, so he's got to feel like he's kind of behind in that way. He's got a lot of retracing of his steps to do now that he has those keys. So
it's just really interesting because we have sight of all the MacGuffins, right? And we just need that sword, and we need the levels to get into Sharlach. Is that correct?
Yeah, that sounds, between all the runners, yeah, I think we sort of know where everything is now except for the sword. And from our perspective, I guess we are starting to run out of chests that the sword could be, and I don't think anyone's made it to the bottom of the grave yet. But yeah, it's looking like the sword could easily be in Sharlach. So here's what Smashy's doing. He's going back to the castle to check these chests first. There's not going to be anything in there. So then I expect for him to go back to the region where the grave was, but instead of going into the grave, he should probably continue north and check the town of Garenham first, because it's just like a faster check for 3 chests. And he will find the harp there, and that would, in theory, save him the trip into the bottom of the grave, unless he wants to go down there to look for the sword. So that's kind of what I'm thinking is in his future. And he decides not to check the basement. I guess by process of elimination, he might actually know that the jerk cave is in the basement. He may have seen all the other caves by now.
Now, to answer Lorgon's question, where will the grind be? Now, Hawksness, that Armor Knight isn't a bad choice, but it also might depend on who you ask, because Smashy saw an actual ludicrous amount of metal slimes where all the red dragons are, so he might actually decide that he wants to take the risk with the metal slimes and go for the big chunks of experience.
So here's Nest Cardinality, by the way, back in the Hawksness region yet again, so it feels like his how he's traversing the map has not been too efficient, because he's had to come back to this area several times for his attempts on the Armored Knight. He has the half plate now, which should help him for that fight. Of course, if you get put to sleep, you know, it could be a problem no matter what. But he does have Stop Spell. I'm curious if he'll actually use that tactic, or if he'll just go for the double hurt more straight away. I don't know on level 12 how their agility is progressing, but there's still a chance of getting ambushed.
The big challenge here in NES Cardinal's fight is he could cast Stop Spell, but then he depends on the Armor Knight trying to sleep one of his 3 attacks. If he has bad RNG, he could actually lose despite that. And it looks like he's just opening straight up with Hurt more, and hopefully he can just burst down the Armor Knight without a sleep.
Oh, and it works out for him that time. No ambush and no sleep, and he's got the double hurt more. He didn't miss with it, so he's got himself the armor finally. And I think he's going to be kind of bummed about how that all worked out for him, because you know, he went through the trouble to go buy some armor, and now that just gets replaced by the Erdrick's armor, and you know, he's had to retrace back to this location a few times. So, but persistence pays off, and now he doesn't necessarily have to count out those very nasty coordinates, unless he wants the fairy flute is pretty much guaranteed to be there, because the old man did give coordinates, so something has to be there. And we already know where the token and the armor are. Now, Nest Cardinality doesn't know where the token is, by the way. So he actually might go for those coordinates, hoping that the token is there, which would also be unfortunate for him. And here we have Smashy trading in for the staff. So Smashy is in item go mode, having all the quest items and knows where the rainbow drop is. And he is going directly back to Tanteagle to trade in for the rainbow drop. So he's in item go mode and already has the armor, so he is going to find a place to grind some levels. Still just with the axe knight, or with the hand axe, by the way, but if he has some place in mind, I can't imagine that you want to grind on the armored knight in Hawksness since it has sleep, but maybe he will. And maybe we'll get a look and see what the spike tile was in the swamp cave as well, just for a potential grind for Smashy. But he's ready to get some levels now, so advantage Smashy right now.
I have to say, as unfortunate as this RNG has been for all of our runners in different ways, lacking keys, lacking Erdrick's armor, lacking sight of caves, they've been doing very well for just using their hurt more to their advantage, even without heal more available to them. They just are blasting everything.
So we got a race on our hands now, because Marth SR, just about a minute behind Smashy, is doing the same thing. Has just acquired all 3 quest items and is going directly back to trade in for the rainbow drop, and he'll be ready to grind and go as well. And looks like Smashy has about a 700 point experience lead over Marth SR to start this race. And that's equivalent of, you know, about in some cases that might be a 1 or 2 minute lead, depending on how efficient the grind is. If there's an axe knight on this spike tile, for example, that's like a 1.5 minute lead. And meanwhile, Nest Cardinality doesn't have any of the quest items, and BT has not yet found the necessary 2 major dungeons to find the stones and the token, unless he's in there now. Yeah, it looks like he's finally there now. And Yeah, so Chad is asking for a recap. Yeah, so interestingly, we had a gold start where we had gold in the throne room and something like a torch, and there was only a strength score of 5. So they were trying to figure out how to get off level 1, and just slightly to the south is the town of Cole, which they all found with their gold in hand, and there was a hand axe available there. So they all upgraded to the hand axe. And then as soon as they got off level 1, it was hurt more. So, and then it was a matter of Ness Cardinality and Martha Sara started exploring kind of to the north of the castle. And BT and Smashy went over here to the southwest where they found the swamp cave, which led over here to Hawksness and Charlock, as you see on Smashy's screen here. And Urgic's armor is guarded in Hawksness by an armored knight, which has sleep. And it took them quite a while, some of them, in Ness Cardinality's case, a long time to defeat that enemy because they had low hit points for quite a long time and low agility. So they were getting ambushed a lot by the armored knight and being put to sleep. So once they got the armor, it was a matter of finding in another part of the world, the 2 major dungeons were right next to each other. And one contained the Stones of Sunlight, the other contained the token in a chest. And once they finally found keys, and the only place to find keys was in the faraway town of Rimeldar. After acquiring keys that allowed them access to the back door of Garanham, which had the harp. So we have Martha, Sara, and Smashy both appearing to do a sword dive on a fairly early level. It looks like they don't have anywhere near the stats to actually win right now, and sometimes when that's the case, you're going to want to go get that sword early so that you can speed up your grind process here. And I missed what was on the spike tile in the swamp cave. I assumed one of those 2 guys checked it by now. I'm not sure if anyone can remind me, but if it is something that you need the sword for, then it makes perfect sense to go into Charlock and try and find the sword. So Smashy is about halfway down. I believe, for example, Smashy has not been to the bottom of the grave, and I'm not sure if anyone has been to the bottom of the grave, correct me if I'm wrong, so it's possible that they're not going to find the sword in Charlock. But Smashy is going to take his chances, gaining experience along the way with some of these reasonable enemies, like wizards.
That's mighty brave. Martha
running away from wizards right now.
Martha Sara didn't have quite as good luck as Smashy. He died to an armored knight on his way in, and then just picking up and trying to go back, Red Dragon said no.
Okay. So here we are. It's a stone man on the spike tile. So you can try a double hurt more, which works like half the time. It's kind of nasty to try and hurt your way through this battle, especially they don't have heal more yet. So and Smashy's actually making tremendous progress through Charlock, not even having heal more at his disposal. So that's of note, and they don't have the sleep spell either for the stone man. So it actually does make a lot of sense to go for the sword, to make this dive that Smashy's making to try and find the sword early. Because if you need 4 or 5 more levels, and your best grind maybe is the stone man, and if you don't like the stone man, you might want to just fight some enemies in Charlotte Castle for your levels. So having the sword would really help. I'm not sure if we know for sure that the sword is in here. If someone out there knows, let's say if BT made it to the bottom of the grave, for example, I didn't notice if anyone made it down there. But there are a couple of chests down there. Okay.
Yeah, we're all kind of on the edge of our seat. Ennius Cardinality turned in Gwalen, and he's probably going to hunt out those coordinates. And we have...
Super unfortunate, because he never found the dungeons, which has the token in the chest. So he's hoping the token is on the map, and it's really far away. And he's going to be using Gwalen to hone in on that. And for some reason, he has not come across the 2 major dungeons, which are way off to the west, or right next to each other in a little grasslands area on the west coast. So just a lot of things have not gone Ness Cardinality's way in this one.
And Cyber Dark, our tracker, has confirmed that it is definitely Charlock. The sword is somewhere in Charlock. and that BT's has checked the grave. So Smashy, however, has not reached that sword. No one's gone for the sword successfully.
Smashy's in Swamp Cave now, so did he just die while I was looking the other way? So perhaps he didn't quite make it to the treasury there, which is kind of unfortunate. Unless he has the sword and we weren't looking. If he has the sword, because he's going to check the spike tile now. He's just going to try to hurt more of the stone man now. So I assume he does not have the sword. And this is his first glimpse at the fact that the stone man is here. He doesn't even have the sleep spell yet on level 13. So this is not a very good grind right now. If it were me, I think if I were Smashy, I would go back into Sharlock. If nothing else, there are Axe Knights running around in Sharlock that you can get some good experience from with the Hurtmore spell. And can we have another look at maybe their strength score again? Because they're all still sitting on the hand axe. And there is, at least I know there was a broadsword. I think it was maybe in Rimmildar. But Rimmildar is not very close by. And I don't know if they've seen weapons in any of the other shops. But so 83 strength is pretty good if they had a decent weapon. Unfortunately, the hand axe is only plus 15. Broadsword would be plus 20. So I guess maybe it wouldn't make that much of a difference beyond the hand axe. But yeah, so Smashy is going back into Sharlock. So with 98 attack power, I feel like he could still fight enemies like the wizard and chop them down if they don't have any special abilities. We saw some wizards running around in here. Definitely do not want to see this armored knight, really, unless it has very low stop spell resistance. They do sometimes have resistance. Stop spell resistance is randomized in Dragon Warrior Randomizer, so not sure if anyone's tried that tactic too much yet, but
we have a really weird situation with the runners. Like, we have Martha Asar here who is going for the grind. He does not have the sword. It's not going to be an incredibly fast grind, but it will get him levels, which could advantage him for a dive, maybe at level 14. Smash is going for the Charlotte Treasury to hopefully get that sword, which might not go in his favor. And I believe that NES Cardinality, in his situation, isn't quite as far behind as it might seem with his lack of MacGuffins, because this is a lot about levels right here. Who has the levels that they need to actually make that dive successfully? Is 13
and
enough
if you
to get
look,
Smashy
they're
there?
all very close. They're very close, all four of our featured runners with experience, ranging from 4,700 to 5,200 experience right now. So nobody's broken it open with any kind of a dedicated grind right now because the spike tiles just aren't favorable. And, you know, like, you know, we have the red dragon here, and I think the zone here in the Swamp Cave is the same as the first floor of Mountain Cave. So
yeah,
a lot of red dragons running into on BT's screen there. Somehow it gets away, but we don't have very good agility right now still, I don't believe. And the strength score is getting there, but you're right, we need some more experience, and there's not an easy way to get it. And I feel like in this situation, the best place to get it actually is in Sharlock. There are some werewolves in here that you can hurt more. There are some Axe Knights running around to hurt more. We have a Star Wyvern here that's hurt moreable. I think Smashy's on the right track. And we have BT in there now as well, so he's in item go mode. And not very far behind, only 500 points behind Smashy. So that's actually very close between those two because Smashy was unable to get the sword on the first go. It's become kind of a close race. Next Cardinality finally finds the dungeons. So Stones is already in possession, and if he can make it to these chests in the grave, I believe that's where he's going to find the token. And just to the north of these dungeons, right now he's out of resources, but if he can get out of here, if I know Nest Cardinality, he's going to try and go down to the bottom levels of the grave, unfortunately for him, because if he could get out of here and walk north, he'll find Garenham, which has the last of the 3 quest items that he's looking for, so... but he'll probably continue down to the lower levels here. It's very logical play. There's 2 more chests down here.
So we have BT's having a very dangerous fight that he barely made it out of. And Oregon has a very good point here in that we just need good Sharlock luck, because Sharlock is dangerous, but not impossible to traverse. So whoever actually makes the dive and gets that amazing sword first is possibly going to become our number 1. That's going to be a huge advantage that they need. They all need it right now.
Yeah, you see Smashy was blocked once by a golem, but it didn't do quite enough damage. He had like 1 or 2 hit points left. Manages to get away and cast 3 consecutive heal spells outside of battle to refresh himself. Still don't have the heal more spell to make this trip a little easier. So you have to kind of pick and choose your enemies. You don't want to get put in a spot where you can't really out heal the damage. And he's moments away from getting to the treasury if he can just survive a few more steps here. I don't think we've seen a lot of green dragons yet, but he's going to go ahead and use the hurt more strat, and it dodges. And with low agility and low defense, they can be dangerous. Not defense breaking the green dragon yet, but here we go. And we have level 14 as well. So Smashy's getting close. 4 more power. I think that puts him up to a strength of 87, which in some cases would be enough for the Dragon Lord. You can see how much MP they have to balance with the low strength score. So honestly, that actually might be enough. If he can find this sword here, let me look at my trusty notes, but if you add 42 to that, I'm not totally sure if he's got the fighter's ring equipped, but you know, you're looking at 129 attack power with a whole bunch of MP. If he can just not die on this fight to this Armor Knight, he's so close, and he's out of MP now as well. Might want to burn some herbs here just to make these last few steps, because if the sword is here, he is ready for and there it is in the very first chest that he opened. Looks like he's looking maybe for the fighter's ring now, if he doesn't yet have it, because then there it is. He finds the fighter's ring as well. Wow. So that'll put him up to 129. That's with 127, it would have been kind of borderline, but at 129 attack power, believe it or not, that saves you a couple of attacks in some cases. And with 132 MP, he should be casting outside. Well, he can't because he doesn't have the MP, but he needs to get out of here and come right back in here and go for the Dragon Lord.
Yeah, he's in a great spot. Smashy with that find, fighter's ring, and the sword. I don't think there's anything ready to stop him at this point. He just needs to play it smart and get okay RNG, and I think he's got this.
Yeah, and chat pointing out that 95 hit points is kind of nasty to fight the Dragon Lord, but it's not as bad as you'd think. It's sort of rare that you get hit for 47 or 48 back-to-back. Now, that 66 defense power is kind of a problem, and the fact that you're going to try and run from everything in Sharlock with only 53 agility points would be kind of a problem. But assuming somehow that you could actually make it to the Dragon Lord, these are actually winnable stats. So now it's a question of whether or not Smashy wants to get another fast level, because from 14 to 15 is not very far apart. You only have to get to 7,500 to get to 15. But there's not like a fast grind though. Is he going to grind the Stone Man here, or is he just going to walk through here and remember, walking through here, there are red dragons in here, so he actually burns some MP to cast outside to go through. So he's got 6 less MP to work with now because he had to cast outside to avoid the red dragons. But he is going to go in and try his luck with 53 agility points and all the rest of the borderline statistics. But in theory, it's winnable if he could survive.
Well, he still needs heal more, correct?
I had thought he got it on 14. Oh, okay. So let's see, when he pulls up the spell menu, I thought he got it on 14.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a good look, and I'm like, he's so fast, I can't get a good look.
It's hurt more that I kept seeing. I thought that he had heal more. I apologize.
Yeah, I was trying to watch for it.
Did it. I thought that 14 did it. So yeah, he's going to need another level anyways. So we'll have to watch and see what kind of stat gains he gets, and whether or not he gets heal more on level 15. Guaranteed to get it by 16. And so if this is a situation where they do have to go to 16, then the stats will probably be overkill at that point, assuming they actually get some agility at some point.
I was actually kind of wondering if he himself knows that he doesn't have heal more. Like, he might be looking at stats and thinking, well, let's go, but not realizing that this is a very late heal more seed. So he does need at least 1 level. Cross my fingers for him.
It actually, I can't tell if he's actually burning MP or if he's kind of hedging his bet and like trying to conserve MP. But this is probably the best place to get experience, because the grind enemies on the spike tiles are not particularly desirable. So I think he's doing this really as his grind, and I think he's trying to see if he can sort of get it on the way and go for game. Like, it's all kind of a weird spot for him, because if he can hold on to 104 MP long enough, you know, when he gets the level, if he has heal more at that point, he can just turn the corner and go fight the Dragon Lord. So,
and alternatively,
but it's a little bit tricky to try and hold on to this MP. And here we see he's casting heal. So, but at the same time, if you get the level and you get like 10 more power, all of a sudden you don't need all this MP. So you don't necessarily want to just burn through all your MP here. Like, now he's starting to hurt some enemies along the way. It's a tough decision. Do you hold on to the MP and try for it, or are you gonna just get the level as fast as you can and then cast outside, and then you got to go find an inn somewhere, and then you got to come back in? So,
or alternatively, he might set himself up to get level 15 on his way for the actual Dragon Lord attempt. So he uses up his MP here, use it, and when he thinks that he's going to get a few kills on his way to Dragon Lord, he gets 15 and is decent MP for the kill.
I just noticed Nest Cardinality took a death to a red dragon on the overworld. He just now got level 13, and he has Stone's End the token. Didn't catch if he actually made it to the bottom of the grave, but there won't be anything consequential there. And we know that if he doesn't yet have the harp, that he needs to go right back to where he was, where those 2 dungeons were, and then he needs to take a northward turn to find the town of Garenham. That is where the last quest item lies for him. All 3 of our other featured runners are in grind and go mode. Smashy having Erdrick's Sword, I would give him a slight edge here.
And Marthasar got that level 14, which is going to be pretty huge for him, because he's been kind of, it looks like he's wandering looking for that grind spot, that mythical unicorn grind spot where he can actually get decent levels. And it's really hard to seed, as you said, because the spike tails aren't good, and just there's no consistent finds in the overworld either.
Yeah, he just found an Axe Knight. So in theory, if you had the repel spell, you might want to just run around in the desert over here and just find Axe Knights. But sometimes that doesn't work out too well, because they could take a long time to find. If they're not, you know, if it's only 1 enemy slot out of 5, you could do a lot of walking around and not find the right encounters. So yeah, overworld grinds can be tricky, but occasionally that turns out to be the best play. And we have BT is halfway through Sharlock on his sword dive, and he's still got some MP to work with. So if he makes it down there on this trip, and he's gaining experience along the way, he might actually be kind of close to Smashy here. He's only at 400 points away, behind Smashy on the grind itself. But no! Blue Dragon has the Dragon Lord Breath, and down he goes. So no sword for BT on that particular dive. It took Smashy 2 dives to get it. I'm not sure, maybe that was BT's first dive into Sharlock, I'm not totally sure, but no sword for BT, but he did gain some experience along the way. Smashy has decided to go with the Stone Man grind instead of going back into Sharlock, so I didn't catch if he has the sleep spell yet, but he is not using it. He's just trying to use the Erdrick Sword that he went through all the trouble to get, to chop down stone men in a much more efficient manner than he previously was able to. So that's the decision for Smashy now. Erdrick Sword, chop down the stone men, 155 each. He is very close now to level 15, and if he learns heal more, he's going to go straight into Sharlock to try and finish the seed. We're approaching the 1 hour mark, and now is the time when you start looking at your log to see if anybody's finished.
So I'm watching NES Cardinality, and they're all on level 14 now. So once again, NES Cardinality had some bad luck earlier, and it took him a long time to get Erdrick's Armor and to get a lot of these MacGuffins. He still hasn't gotten that rainbow drop, but we cannot count him out, because he has comparable levels to everyone else.
The drop is right at Tantegel Castle, so he's going there now, and he's good to go. So I assume he's going to go straight into Sharlock after this. And yeah, you're right. He's not that far behind, considering the fact that he wasn't able to do any dedicated grinding him until this point, because he was still trying to look for things in the various dungeons. So, you know, he's only a few minutes behind Smashy here in terms of the grind.
I'm just paying attention, looking for level 15, because that's the level. That's the important level we all want to see, and here it is.
Yeah, and Smashy just looked, and he does have heal more. He took another look at his stats, and with all of this MP, That should be enough. We got a little bit of a bump in agility. It's still kind of a problem, you know, especially if there are armored knights in there with sleep. And they're going to be really hard to run away from. You could try stop spelling them. That'll burn a little bit of your MP along the way. 71 defense power. There was no gold grind available, so they're stuck with the large shield. I don't even know if we saw any silver shields, but that's not in play. So with the large shield and low agility, you're at 71 defense power, which means Dragonlord 2 could hit you pretty hard. Trying to do the fuzzy math on that in my mind here. I think he could hit you for 52 right now. So
that's not safe.
You only have 101 HP. Yeah, you only have 101 HP, and you can get physical for 52. So it's a little bit nasty, and really even more so than that, though. It's the fact that the low agility might cause you a problem trying to run away from these monsters, especially if you have armored knights with sleep. So the whole key is to actually just get to the Dragonlord, and if you can manage that, I think these stats are pretty solidly winnable.
Yeah, it's just a scary situation. Like, we have all these runners alongside Smash. We have Martha SR, who's continuing to explore. We have BTs who's doing the Armored Knight grind, and Ennis Cardinality is going for it with the dive, at least to find that sword. Smashy has a pretty good situation. He definitely has the lead, but the win is not guaranteed yet. He still can lose against the Dragonlord.
It feels like all four of our featured runners have followed the same endgame logic, where they didn't have a good weapon and the spike tile enemies just weren't desirable, so they've all been going in to Sharlock to try and get the sword. Now, to me, this makes even more sense if you had a lot more levels to grind, but it turns out that we aren't very far away from, you know, the last level in Ness Cardinality's case. But you know, it's still, I think it's the only thing he can do, because there's no good way to grind with that hand axe. So he's going in looking for the sword, and I think Ness Cardinality did make it to the bottom of the grave, so he probably knows for sure that the sword is in here. Whereas for Smashy, it was a little more of a gamble. But yeah, everyone has tried a sword dive where they're clearly burning MP. Like, Ness Cardinality has no chance to win on this dive. He's burning MP. You know, as is reasonable, because you're trying to grind experience along the way as well. So he's trying to balance, you know, how much MP it's going to need to actually get to the treasury versus which enemies are you picking and choosing to try and fight, you know, or hurt more your way through or whatever. And all of our runners have tried this, and none of them have gotten to the sword on the first try. So here we have Smashy going for game here, while the rest of our runners are still kind of doing sword dives.
It's interesting looking around. Just an hour ago, we were so happy to see the hand axe. We had the gold early, we got early hand axe, it was a great start, and now it almost feels like the hand axe is just... We have three of our runners who just want to get rid of that axe so badly. They need that attack power for their grinds, they need that attack power to survive in Sharlock.
Yeah, and don't forget, we have 6 other runners in this race that are off stream, and they're all fairly formidable as well. We got nobody's finished yet, by the way, but we have Beta Strep, we have Edgeworth, Gil Keja, JJ Schmidt 77, who went 5-0 in the Swiss rounds of the recent tournament, so he's formidable. We have Mr. Holmes, who often is at the very top of these races. We have Tierranex, who upset Game Boy F9 in one of the early rounds of the tournament. So a really stacked field, including the runners off stream. So we'll have to keep an eye on if anybody sneaks in ahead of Smashy here on the finish. So we're in for an exciting race coming up here on the Sharlock dive. And so halfway around the bottom floor, Smashy gets put to sleep by an Armored Knight. And is he going to use the stop spell tactic? And he does, but it has no effect. At least some stop spell resistance for the Armored Knight, and he's back asleep. He manages to wake up, and now he's not going to try again. He's going to try and run. This is a disaster. This is the problem when you don't have the agility and you have Armored Knights with sleep. one more opportunity. He's going to burn a heal more. That's definitely the right move. Maybe he should have done that earlier. And now he's going to use a hurt more because that doesn't affect how many heal mores he has and potentially maybe fight. But no, he's going to use another hurt more. And that puts him in danger of not having the stats to actually beat the Dragon Lord now. So he's down to, quick math, 12 heal mores at his disposal and no reasonable chances at a double attack in this fight. And my chart says that this is not going to be enough now. But you could always get some good attack rolls and some really good luck in the Dragon Lord 1 fight, etc., etc. I guess he's going to just go see what's on the spike tile. He's here now. Might as well go for it. But that was a very unfortunate counter. And it's an Armor Knight on the spike tile. Wouldn't you know it?
I'm kind of sick of seeing Arbor Knights this seed, honestly. And looking at chat, ETAP, yeah, starting Hurtmore seemed to be a terribly foreboding omen, but level 2 Hurtmore has served our runners so well. It's just so helpful to them.
So he runs away, which actually backs you up. When you're on this spike tile, that's the Guardian spike tile, running away backs you up. You are forced to defeat that enemy if you want to get to the Dragon Lord, and that's part of the charming little additions that has been put into Dragon Warrior Randomizer. That fight doesn't exist in the original game. So he runs away from the enemy and forgoes his chance. He's going to 16. Smashy has made the decision to go to 16. Interesting situation. 15 in theory is doable, but I'm not so sure that anyone's going to actually win at 15. So very interesting end game coming up for our runners here.
Now, to answer Retro Grizzly Bear's question, NES have a shot here? Definitely not at this MP, not if he reaches level 15, especially after we saw what happened to Smashy. If someone were to actually go for it at 15, they would need some really good RNG. As we saw here, Smashy, it just didn't work out. 16, as Up to NG saying, 16 is probably what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and he's going to actually, well, I thought he was on the spike tile. I thought he was actually grinding the Armored Knight, just trying to use the double hurt more, but he's finding them on the actual, you know, not even on the spike tiles too. They're just in the bottom zone as well. So, you know, and anytime he encounters one, he's trying to defeat it now just for the experience. But look at how dangerous they are. He's sleeping again. And, you know, if he takes a death here, it's not the end of the world because he's just going to go back over and grind some more stone men in the swamp cave. He's already decided he's not going to fight the Dragon Lord here. And there he goes. He gets sleep blocked, and he's bounced out of Sharlock about 1,000 points away from level 16. That's about 7 or 8 more stone men fights. I believe that's what his plan is. There are red dragons in the swamp cave, so it's a little bit of a, you know, not that great of a grind situation there. But I think at this point, you would fight red dragons as well if you were trying to grind. You know, that I don't think they have any special abilities, and they are worth 255 each. So, and Smashy is going back in that direction. I don't think he's going directly into Sharlock. I think he's going to get the level first on the spike tile here. And the only one still in Sharlock is BT. And he's on 15, and he is also deciding not to go for the Dragon Lord on 15. He's burned too much MP, and he's starting to hurt more Armored Knights, and he gets bounced out of Sharlock as well, and he's halfway to 16. So you can see a very close race ensuing for Smashy and BT, just 300 experience apart from each other, as Ness Cardinality takes his good first look to decide if he wants to go in on these stats. Now, Ness Cardinality is someone who has a style where he kind of wants more agility than this. I don't know that he will even attempt this dive that the other runners have tried, because he knows that 63 agility and Armored Knights with sleep is a problem. So, and as we see here, he's actually not even going for the dive. He is going for 16. Even though the strength and the MP are there, the agility is just not really there. So I find that kind of fascinating that Ness Cardinality just noped out of the out of trying this dive at all on 15. He's just going for this grind on the overworld now.
I do want to interject. Mr. Holmes, it looks like, is on Dragon Lord 2. And as a reminder, of course,
right.
Mr. Holmes is not one of our runners featured on the stream, but I am watching a stream and, of course, sending all of my good luck his way.
All right, so if you're watching his stream, what level is he attempting this fight on? Is he on 15? Did he make it there on 15?
He's on 15, and he's at... Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. He just took a 47 from the Dragon Lord, and it's just... I'm looking at it. I'm not feeling it.
So he had some fortunate luck to actually get through Sharlock on 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was not an easy task with the low agility, but there was a lot of MP. And even if you had to burn a couple of heal mores, if you could just get to the Dragon Lord, it would be okay. So looks like Mr. Holmes was able to do that, whereas some of our other runners have decided that that's not feasible. So that's actually quite interesting. In a multiplayer race, it seems like the one who manages to do something like that is the one that's going to win. And let's see if he manages it. We'll keep an eye on the SRL log.
And I'm watching Mr. Holmes, and he doesn't have good double potential at this situation. That lack of defense points is really hurting him here.
It would depend on how much MP actually entered that fight with. Because they had more than enough, starting the dive. But how much did he had to burn on the way to the Dragon Lord is the question. Because you're right, there's no chance of double attacks, and you could get physicaled for 52. So, he's got to be careful. And chat telling us he actually managed to have completely full MP, 135 MP, entering the Dragon Lord 2 fight. And if that's the case, he's got to be a pretty good favorite. He could even double heal his way through a couple of borderline spots if he wants to.
And he's coming close. Like, he took a 50 down to 5 HP, and it's coming close. He's at 17 MP, and he's wondering his situation. When should he heal more? And he took a safe heal more at 49, which I think was the right move here, because he's just so close. Both of them are just about on the edge here.
Yeah, if you fight at 49 and if you have the potential to get hit for 52,
he did it.
It's about an 8% chance of dying. So
yeah, he had 55 HP, 1 MP at the end of it. Dragon Lord is down for Mr. Holmes.
All right, so GG, Mr. Holmes looks like he's going to be the first of our 10 runners to finish this seed, and Smashy's back on his way in on level 16 to attempt his dive with not really very much more agility on level 16 than he had at 15, but he does have a little bit more hit points for the Dragon Lord fight, and looks like he got a small amount more attack power, so he can burn a lot more MP on his dive. So 16 is a better situation for the dive. He's going to go for it, even with the low agility. He's got a much better chance of getting to the Dragon Lord now on this dive.
It's a tough situation. After looking how that fight went, when he went in with full MP, like, that had to have taken some incredible luck. So Smashy at 16, I'm feeling really good with that MP that he has ready, all the stats. He can do this. But again, it's not guaranteed.
So, just to inform our chat, it's official. Mr. Holmes has finished in first place. The official SRL time was 1 hour and 14 minutes and 56 seconds. So sub 115 on a seed that did have some challenges, despite the fact that we had an early hurt more. Very solid time for Mr. Holmes, and congrats on winning the weekly race. And we have some other very strong runners off stream as well. So, the race is on for second place, and it's not necessarily going to be one of our featured runners here. I'm not sure exactly where everyone else is at, but don't be surprised if some other people sneak in there as well. This is a stacked field tonight. Very talented runners tonight. So we have the Stone Man grind from Marth SR, and this Stone Man will put him up to level 16, at which point I assume he'll attempt another dive. We have BT halfway through Sharlock, en route to getting 16 on the way. And so it's a question of whether he's burning MP or if he's going to just try and get it while conserving MP. And it's going to get ambushed by the fire-breathing blue dragon here. And he is actually burning MP on this dive to try and get the level. So it's kind of unrealistic for him to actually win on this dive now. He's just going to try and get the level. He needs a couple of more fights. And Smashy has died on his level 16 dive.
Oof.
Back to the castle goes Smashy. So this is several trips into Sharlock between the 2 sword dives that he did. And now this will be, I believe, his 3rd endgame dive. So he's probably had just about enough of Sharlock Castle in this race. He knows that Mr. Holmes is already finished, so the the tension is building. Smashy has to deal with another Sharlock death, and back he goes.
So now at this point, I have my eyes on Martha SR. So he's level 16, Urgic Sword. I mean, he could have the same bad luck as Smashy, right? So nothing here is guaranteed. The only guarantee here is what's already happened.
Yeah, they did not get much of an agility boost on, from 15 to 16, and 66 agility just is one of those stats that becomes a real problem for, when you encounter the worst of the enemies in Sharlock, particularly the red dragons and the armored knights. It becomes very hard to run from them. And then along the way, you have blue dragons, which occasionally will block you, and they have Dragon Lord Breath in the seed. A stone man could pack a punch. It's just, you're leaving it up to a lot of randomness. You can get lucky and get through it, or you can get particularly unlucky and take a death. It's not a sure thing to make it on this agility stat. Like we mentioned, there's a little bit more HP on 16 than there was on 15, and the 4 extra attack power allows them to burn a couple of extra heal mores on the way if they need to. But it's still not easy to get down there, so you're right. Nothing's guaranteed on this dive, and some of our runners, it's taking multiple attempts. Super frustrating end game, especially when you're racing against 9 opponents and you just want to get it over with as fast as possible.
And even worse, none of these runners on our stream right here, no one knows where anyone is. No one knows if anyone has even finished yet. And it's just, this is such an unforgiving dive seed. I would be frustrated in their situation. I would just want to, as you said, get it over with, but also you have to keep a cool head. You have to think logically, okay, here are my stats. What should I do? Is it worth risking it? These are what makes some of these runners the best of the best, is being able to make these judgment calls on the fly, given the randomness in front of them.
Yeah, meanwhile, Ness Cardinality is patiently grinding on the overworld for 16. He has not even tried to dive yet for the Dragon Lord. And he's 1 enemy away. He's draining his resources. Meanwhile, we have BT having an extremely difficult time with the Red Dragon. I'm not even sure, is he in Sharlock or is he just making his way through the Swamp Cave or something? But he's down to 106 MP just on a Red Dragon fight here. And now he's going to take a death. So, and he's already on 16. So yeah, it's 16 is no guarantee either. Now we have Marth SR on level 16 on the top levels of Sharlock, and he has an Armored Knight. So is he going to try the stop spell strat, or is he going to try the runaway strat? Unfortunately, it looks like the Armored Knight has a significant amount of resistance to stop spell in this seed. If he didn't, then that would be the no-brainer strategy. Just every time you find an Armored Knight, you stop spell it, you never get put to sleep. And even if you have to burn 20 MP doing that, you have more than enough resources on 16. But stop spell isn't working for these runners right now, so that just leaves trying to run away from Armored Knights with 66 agility, which is, barely more than a 1 in 3 chance of doing so. And every time you get blocked, you might get put to sleep. And Marth SR is bounced back to the castle. So, ugh.
Just looking back, I remember we were talking about casting stop spell on the Armored Knight in the Hawksnest tile. It's interesting to see, okay, well, here's what would have happened if they did try stop spell. Wouldn't have been pretty.
Yeah, I think eventually one of our runners did try it once, I forget. And it didn't work, of course, but it's, that has become a very difficult enemy. Anytime the Red Dragon or the Armored Knight has sleep, and a high stop spell resistance, they just automatically become very dangerous for Charlock dives. And yep, and it's taken multiple dives from all of our runners so far, except here we have the first dive for Nest Cardinality finally catching up to the rest of our on-stream runners. And I have to imagine that the rest of our off-stream runners are running into the same problems. Because none of them have finished yet either, and some of them are quite good at this game as well. So it would be fun to find out afterwards from all 10 of them, you know, how many dives did it take? Because if you can manage it on your first dive, it's automatically a huge advantage compared to, you know, the average experience for all these runners right now. So bottom floor this time for Smashy, third time's a charm perhaps. He has a majority of his MP, still has triple digit MP, which is all you need. Looks like he had to burn a little bit so far, but... And here you see like an ambush from a blue dragon with the Dragon Lord Breath. Well, oftentimes the blue dragon with normal stats is just no big deal. But with the low agility, you're still getting ambushed and/or blocked by blue dragons. And so healing up for this Armored Knight battle, he's going to go with the double hurt more strat, burning 10 more MP. And just like that, Smashy is back down to double-digit MP, and this is no longer a sure thing to beat the Dragon Lord. He's only got 11 heal mores to work with 134 attack power. That's kind of like just barely enough. If you get low rolls, if you get back attacked by the Dragon Lord with this low agility score, there's all kinds of potential problems here. He's going to use the remaining excess MP to heal up. And he's going to take a crack at it here. Even Dragon Lord 1 can pack a punch against you with only 73 defense points. So
yeah, I'm looking at Smash and how that went for him, and I can't help but wonder, would it have been better actually to risk not using Hurt more? And I don't know. Because those Armored Knights, we've seen what they can do. They're ready to stop your run cold.
Yeah, I think it's kind of I think he did the right thing, assuming like you can get down there with more MP. It just so happened that he must have burned a few heal mores already. So now it became like he puts himself in a borderline situation. This is not a sure thing right now. I feel like he's probably a small favorite in this fight. But if we go through the shovel to count some of this damage, if he gets like some below average rolls, it could be a problem for this fight. And we don't know necessarily how much HP this particular Dragon Lord has. They could have anywhere from 150 to 165 HP. If it happens to be on the high side, you know, Smashy might not quite get there. But he's still a small favorite. Let's see if he can manage to get through here without something disastrous happening, like a double heal situation or something. And Martha Sar has been bounced again, so he's back at the castle. Another failed level 16 dive. And we have BT now has made it all the way to the bottom floor. The bottom zone is quite dangerous, but he's almost all the way to the spike tile now with 126 MP at his disposal. So if, like in his situation, if he does a double hurt more on the Armored Knight spike tile, it wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, so this particular Armored Knight he just ran into, he successfully ran from. And here comes another one, and now BT's put to sleep. So here we go. It's kind of rough. And now he's going to hurt more, this Armored Knight. Enough trying to run away, and one hurt more obviously not enough, so he gets put back to sleep. And Smashy is down to 2 more heal mores. It's going to be fairly close. I feel like he should still win this, but it's close. 1 heal more in the tank.
Oh, poor BTs. He really wanted to hold on to MP, which is smart, but that's what could have happened to Smash if he didn't double hurt more earlier.
Yeah, maybe the heal more there would have been the best, or I guess he got sleep blocked there on the second try, but...
Yeah.
And Smashy has done it with 1 attack to spare. Same situation as Mr. Holmes, just nice. With 1 additional level. And it's going to make his way back, and let's see what place he comes in here. And he has done it. He's managed to outlast all of our off-stream runners for a solid second place finish in a time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 1 second. A full 12 minutes behind first place, and yet he beats the 8 other opponents. So that just kind of goes to show you how nasty that Sharlock dive is, and the fact that Mr. Holmes got through it on the first try is just exceedingly fortunate for him. I'm sure Mr. Holmes ran a fantastic race, but difference of that much between first and second in a stacked field is rare. And who do we have here? What's going on?
What was up with that Sharlock?
Smashy, what's up? Smashy, you have been absolutely crushing it with your results lately. Another second place finish for you in a stacked field. And you've been winning some races and everything else. And for a while, it looked like you were going to win this one as well. But absolutely, like you said, 2 trips into Sharlock for the sword. And I believe it was at least 3 for the Dragon Lord, correct?
It was some number. That was just I was just trying to figure out where to grind, because I think I voiced many times my dislike for Stoneman grinds, but there was just nowhere else to grind.
That's right.
Yeah, and sometimes when that's the case, I guess going for the early sword makes more sense, right? Because now you have the sword. If you had to go with the Stoneman grind, then you'd rather have the sword than the axe, right? So that was the decision there, going for the sword, and you had to go in twice in order to get the sword, but I think that worked out well for you.
Yeah, and I was also looking for a place to grind. I thought I had it on the middle floors of Sharlock, and then the Blue Dragons came up with the Dragon Lord Breath, and that killed that in a hurry.
So, oh, by the way, Ness Cardinality has made it through the spike tile, but he is also down to only 88 MP. And so he is in a very borderline situation as well. He's got all his herbs here. So I think this is the same spot that you were just in, Smashy. He's on 16 and he's approaching the Dragon Lord with 88 MP.
That's
so
right.
I guess he is a favorite to win this fight, but it's not a sure thing. And there he goes. So Ness Cardinality is going to get started on that. He didn't even try diving at 15, by the way. He just grinded all the way to 16. Not wanting to deal with the agility situation that all you guys attempted. Can't blame him on that, but at the same time, you know, if it were me, I feel like I'd have to at least try it on 15. But yeah, that was tough.
Given how this whole seed went for NES Cardinality in the middle area, where he just wasn't finding a token, he didn't find the stones, he was the last one on stream to pick up Erdrick's armor. It's impressive that he's come back as far as he have, and hopefully, of course, no commentator's curse that I don't jinx him and he loses this fight. So we'll see how this goes for him.
Well, in the meanwhile, Tierranex off stream does finish the race in 3rd place in 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 21 seconds. So it looked for a minute like Ness Cardinality was going to manage 3rd place after a race that seemed like it went terribly for him, as you mentioned. But now he's fighting for 4th place, and we have 1 forfeit at this point as well. Edgeworth has dropped out. So, yeah, Ness Cardinality could manage 4th place in a race, like you said. He didn't have any quest items, and everybody else was in grind and go mode, basically. So, nice comeback for him. If he finishes this out strong, that would be pretty impressive, as you mentioned. And for you, Smashy, it feels like your issue was that you didn't get keys for a long time. So you had to
that
kind
was
of
the
double
last
back.
thing I found, but that kind of made the end game real tidy, because I had found everything else. I knew both of the trade-ins were under town, so the end game just basically turned into run around, get all the stuff, which, I mean, that's the entire point of the game before the Sharlock dive, but that just tidied all that up real nicely, and then, well...
Now,
yeah.
you hadn't been to the bottom of the grave, though, right, Smashy?
No.
Yeah, so, but it made more sense for you to check the town of Garenham first, I guess. So the harp did happen to be there, and then at that point, you were just hoping that the sword was not in the bottom of the grave, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's another reason I dived Sharlock so early. Make sure that sword is down there.
Uh-oh, and there it is for NES Cardinality. He did it.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Mr. Holmes, congratulations on your very strong victory here. Looks like you're about 12 minutes ahead of second place. We didn't see how things went for you, but did you manage to actually get through Sharlock on your first try?
Okay, so yes. Yes, but I'd already been through there once already to grab the sword, because I as well had not checked the bottom of the grave.
Okay. Yeah, so that makes sense. So you kind of knew what you were in for, because you did manage to get there with the sword. But wow, yeah, getting on your Dragon Lord dive, getting through on your first try is something that nobody else has done. At least anybody on stream. All 4 of our runners have failed several dives en route to the Dragon Lord. Although I guess that may have been NES Cardinality's first dive, but he did not even attempt to dive on 15. He skipped 15 entirely and just went to 16, not wanting to deal with the low agility situation. But I don't know.
Enough.
So yeah, so you went for it, Mr. Holmes, and worked out well. You did have plenty of MP at your disposal if you could get down there, and I guess you just didn't have as many problems with the Armored Knights as everyone else.
Well, I mainly just stop-spelled the Armored Knights. I mean, they had some resist, I'm not sure what it was, but I used some of my MP for that, and then I would just tank them.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Every time anyone tried it on stream, it did not work. So I was thinking it had max resistance, but maybe everybody just was unlucky with it.
Yeah,
so interesting that you were able to use stop spell on the way down.
I think I probably had, like, it worked 3 out of 4 times, I think. So, who knows?
Okay, yeah, so maybe it had like 50-50 resistance or something, and everybody else just wasn't landing it for whatever reason. So it has been a serious problem. BT and Marthas are in lockstep going in yet again. It has to be the 4th or 5th dive for these guys now. But meanwhile, credits are rolling for NES Cardinality. Where did he finish? Let's see here.
4th.
So solid 4th place, NES Cardinality, 1 hour, 32 minutes, 24 seconds. So tell me, Mr. Holmes, what else happened on your end then that you were able to finish so quickly? You had, obviously you had a gold start, and I assume you found the nearby town for the hand axe, and you got yourself off level 1, and then you had Hurtmore.
Yeah, so I did a safety save just because I noticed we were at 5 strength. And literally the first step I took out of the castle on my first descent, I went west and I ran into a wolf. So I got to make great use of that safety save. And then I was able to get into Cole and get the hand axe. And then I was able to peg off a few wolves, and all of a sudden you're at 200 experience. And so I started wandering around. I got to the swamp cave. I just went south and west, and then I saw...
Oh, okay, so you went through swamp first. Okay, I got you. It's
that's what
two of our runners went north, and they didn't go that way for a long time. And then the other 2 runners, found the Hawk's Nest region really quickly. So that's interesting.
Yeah, for me, I didn't find Remulder until like 50 minutes or so. Like, I went up north and east once, and I ran into red dragons. And so I just explored the rest of it, and it wasn't until I didn't find anything anywhere else. I literally had explored everything else except for that part. I had to book it over there.
So
Sounds
basically,
like you had a very similar race to Smashy then. He found keys last as well.
Yeah. I was going to say, he did everything I did except he got the Sharlock dive first try.
And what you mentioned also real quick about sticking around and Hurtmoring some wolves. I was actually saying that on stream as well, and I was surprised that people wanted to try and explore the map on level 2 when you could just take 1 minute or a minute and a half and just Hurtmore a few wolves and get to level 6, and that way you won't get ambushed by everything and all that stuff. You had low HP for quite a while as well, so it was I think what you did there was perfect.
Yeah, always trying to explore, and then you run into an Axe Knight that you kill in the first try. That's the dream, right? And so unfortunately a lot of times it doesn't go your way, and you end up just kind of stuck there or not making as much progress as you should. So
yeah,
just
exactly.
like you said, take a minute and a half, get a few levels, see what happens, and then approach it.
Yeah, the funny thing was, I was doing laps around Tantagel, and I walked into the upper left square and got killed by a Rogue Knight on level 1. So after I got level 2 in the Hurtmore, everybody on stream saw it. I was trying to grind in that zone, but I kept running into the Stone Man, so...
Oh yeah, Rogue Scorpion would be a nice encounter for sure. But you know, you had low agility and low hit points. I think they could one-shot you as well. So it is kind of that's one thing I like about the Wolf. It's like you're just less likely to get ambushed and stuff like that because they're just like.
Well,
a lower level,
I didn't know about the Wolf
experience. Oh, I got you. Yeah, it was just an interesting tidbit that you mentioned that you killed 5 or 6 wolves and then you got started. So anyway, so you found keys really late, and then it sounds like you just kind of ran around and got the harp and the staff and then the drop. And were you already ready to go, or did you need? You said you did a sword dive first. Were you on like level 13 or 14 at that point? It seemed like not much grinding was required for anybody.
Yeah, I think it was one level before I actually went. And I pretty much got that level on the way, cast outside, and then just went back in for the final dive. And really, it was not as straightforward and unstressful as it may sound like it was. For example, we had, like 70 agility, and so we're talking 75 defense. And so several times
I think it was even worse than that. Yeah, but absolutely.
BT says 70 agility on 17. 17 was a huge health gain, by the way. 28.
Okay, so
yeah, if I recall, level 15 was more like 63 agility and like 71 defense or something. So, yeah, and you only had 101 hit points, so you had to worry about that in the Dragon Lord fight too, right? Getting like hit for 52 damage or whatever. And
I did. I got hit for 50, 51, and 52. All 3 of them.
Oh, congrats.
And I actually had to take a risk. I healed up to 101, then he did 51 to me, and I said, you know what, screw it, I'm not healing again at 50. And then he attacked for like something stupidly low. And at the very end though, when I felt like I was doing above average rolls and I had an extra heal more to work with, he hit me for 52 and I did double heal more on 49. And I still won with 1 attack left in the bank.
Yeah, definitely. If you're keeping track of the damage, that's the smart move. I guess at 49, you'd have like an 8% chance of dying if you just went for it, right? So no reason to take that risk if you have more than enough resources. So, yep, I like that play. And I don't know if we know necessarily if he was on the low side or the high side with HP, but you must have known that you could get to 165 kind of no matter what when you made that decision.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I actually lost count halfway through, which makes it even more questionable what I did. But
ooh, expert.
All I knew was that my average damage was 11. And it seemed like I was doing a lot more attacks more than 11 than less than it. So I just kind of could ballpark where I was based on the fact that I was above average damage. And if I was above average damage, then I would be more than good enough. So I just went with it and trusted that calculation by the seat of my pants.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what other challenges maybe presented itself in the seed. In the kind of the early intermediate levels, I think you guys had very low HP, so at least our feature runners were taking a lot more deaths than you might think with, you know, having hurt more and everything. You're just getting one shot by stuff all the way until like level maybe 8 or 9. And then once you got beyond that point, by the time everybody found Hawk's Nest, they had quite different experiences too. Nest Cardinality failed several attempts to get the armor and didn't get it until like level 11 or 12. Whereas Smashy, I think you got it like really pretty early in the game.
Yeah, I got it like second try and I went straight there, so I had for a long time and it really helped.
How about you, Mr. Holmes? Did you get it on your first trip through the Swamp Cave?
Second one. I died in Hawk's Nest to a red dragon the first.
Okay. Yeah, but I assume that's the right thing to just go straight back there, since you already knew that there was nothing on the coal spot. That meant that it was 50-50 for the armor to be there. So I imagine everybody kind of just, went back there several times, just, because there were pretty good odds of getting the armor there. So some people got it, on their first fight with the Armor Knight, and some others, it took, half a dozen tries or something. So that was one kind of critical point in the race decision, or at least challenge wise. And then I don't know about like how the map was for you guys, but it seemed like where that pair of dungeons was, that was difficult for a couple of people to find. And Rimbledar was kind of out of the way, but I don't know. Did you think it was like a difficult map, or was it just kind of straightforward, or what?
I just thought it looked cool.
It looks cool. Nice. Yeah, I think a big factor was who went southwest and went through Swamp Cave, and who kind of like went the other way. That seemed like it was a factor, and there's nothing you can do about that. It's just a random decision.
Yeah, I think that helped a little bit, but not like wasn't game breaking or anything.
So BT is down to his last attack, by the way. Oh, and he does manage a 17 damage, and it's enough on the very last attack. BT is victorious. And Marth SR is approaching the spike tile as well. And he stayed on 16 this entire time, whereas BT finally went to 17. So let's see where he's going to finish up here. And there it is, BT, officially 5th place, 1 hour, 43 minutes, 49 seconds. We see the times are quite spread out in this seed, so that kind of goes to show some of the end game challenges rearing its head here. Sometimes you get a stacked field like this and all the finishes are pretty close to each other, but it was pretty spread out just because of how everybody experienced the seed, I guess. We still have a handful of runners still going here. Only the top.
Yeah, and we did have one forfeit. JJ Schmidt threw in the towel.
Oh, JJ also forfeit. Okay, we had Edgeworth.
Yeah, that was about 5 minutes ago.
Okay, so we have 3 runners still going, including Marth SR here.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of problems to get solved this seed, and it was really interesting.
So Marth is on level 16 with only 92 MP. So again, I think this is the same spot that Smashy and Nest Cardinality were in. If he can get through this Dragon Lord one fight, he's probably a small favorite here to win, but it's not guaranteed. So he does not have full HP going in. Is he going to get ambushed? That's the question. And he does not. So he doesn't get ambushed with 11 heal mores and not full HP. He is probably a slight favorite here. Not guaranteed to win, but he's got a pretty good shot. Do you recall how much MP you managed to take to the Dragon Lord, Mr. Holmes? Did you have to burn a lot in Sharlock? Okay, so you had more than enough to work with.
13, sorry, I had 15 attacks.
All right, so you started the fight with triple-digit MP, and you finished with 1 attack to spare, I guess. So yeah, so this fight here is pretty borderline.
Here, take this key.
Sorry, I'm not going to lie. I'm actually playing Tetris right now, and it's just starting to speed up, so the time I can press my push-to-talk key is dwindling.
Good stuff. One of my favorite NES games as well. But yeah, no problem. I'm just going to see whether or not we get a finish up from Marth SR, and at that point, I guess we'll wrap it up unless he wants to join us for a few minutes, or if BT wants to pop in as well. And our remaining runners are probably, let's see, Beta Strep, I think, is probably still going, as well as Geocaja off stream. So we still have a battle for 6th place going here. I just had a big hiccup on my stream there, but I see that Martha SR has defeated the Dragon Lord, and he is on his way to get the accolades. So, GG for Martha SR. He is one of the newer runners that has been coming on strong. He's had some pretty good results lately, moving his way up the ranks. Well done for sticking out a challenging end game there. Looks like 1 hour, 47 minutes, 27 seconds. And that was good enough for 6th place. So very nice. And we'll see if either of those two runners wants to join us for a minute or two. All right. Do we have Martha SR?
Yes, we do.
Good game.
All right. That was a nice, easy end game, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, sure. It was very easy. No. No.
Yeah. Congrats on sticking it out and finishing up. That was it looked pretty nasty. Everyone had some problems in there, so you weren't alone.
Yeah, well,
tell us about it from your end.
Yeah, I did do a few dumb mistakes though. I was really obsessed on conserving MP because I didn't know how well I'd do against the Dragon Lord given the low agility, low defense, and whatnot. So I tried extremely hard to conserve MP, even in situations in which I should have healed more. Notably against that Blue Dragon fight, which threw me back to the penalty box. He DL2 breathed me for 2 times, I believe, and then instead of going for heal more, I just tried to run, and obviously that didn't work. So I was kind of mad at myself for that one.
Yeah, understandable. It's funny because typically in a seed where you have normal stats, the Blue Dragon is a fairly easy to run away from enemy by the time you're in Charlotte Castle. So it's kind of tough to switch gears and think, wow, did he really just block me 2 or 3 or 4 times in a row? That's really unusual. But you did have very low agility for that stage of the game, and that's what can happen. And so yeah, I understand that frustration where you knew you had some heal mores that you could have burned after the fact. You feel like, oh, I should have just healed, And
yeah, and that was I believe on my either 2nd or 3rd dive. So there were a couple of people that weren't finished. If it wasn't for that, I might have finished earlier. So I was a little bit ticked at myself for that.
Yeah, it was interesting on our end here between the featured runners. You guys are all quite close going into the final stages there. So a lot of it just had to do with how successful you were on this Charlock dive, and it's a little bit of luck there. And some decision making as well, but that was a nasty race.
Oh, it was. Although the mid game, I didn't find the mid game to be all that bad. But
you in particular, you were having a lot of trouble. I think Mountain Cave, you were running into a lot of red dragons.
Oh yeah,
you went in there a couple of different times. I think Smashy, I guess Smashy's not here anymore with us, but Smashy had very good luck. Just went right through there, never found a red dragon, so he was able to get the get all the chests on the first try.
He was lucky. When I got booted out the 2nd time, I figured, okay, let's forget about the Mountain Cave for the time being. I'm going to try to find a way to grind and do a dive in Charlotte just in case the sword was there. Fortunately, I couldn't do that at that point because I didn't have heal more. And on the 3rd attempt, though, I believe I was able to go through the cave, and that was it.
And then there was nothing in there anyways. Because I think you did get the first chest the first time through and you got the Stones of Sunlight. But, you never know if you need to get to those other chests. And normally the Mountain Cave is not that difficult to clear. It's just that in this one, it was very tough to get off that first floor for you in particular. You ran into all the red dragons. And some of our other runners had better luck with it. But
they didn't like me for some reason. I don't know. Did I ruin their fun? I don't know, man.
Yep. And then the other thing was the armored knight guarding the armor. I don't recall how many times it took you to get the armor, but
I believe twice. I believe I went to Hawksness. Was it Hawksness? Yes, it was Hawksness, right?
yes, right.
Yes, I went to Hawksness twice. The first time, the Axe Knight got the first turn and sleep locked me. Second time around, I was able to run from the first fight, and then I was able to throw 2 hurt mores at him. So it wasn't
Okay,
all
that wasn't
that
too bad then. Yeah,
No.
I think it was Ness Cardinality who it took him a long time before he actually got the armor, because it just was the fight just didn't work out for him for a long time. So
Yeah,
I guess
well,
it wasn't as bad for you, but that was another spot in the race that seemed to be tricky for everyone.
yeah, well, those AKs were very nasty. It's unbelievable. Sleep, breath, and
Yeah.
stop spell missing half the time. It was
Yep.
something.
And combined with the fact that you guys just never got very good agility for the whole race.
Yeah,
So that's just the perfect storm.
you can say that again. What a race.
Very good. I'm just trying to see if, let's see now. Okay, looks like Gio Caja has finished in 7th place with SRL time of 1 hour, 52 minutes, 42 seconds, which I believe that just leaves Beta Strep. So he will be our 8th place finisher. I'm not sure if it's official yet. He'll probably finish it out so that he'll finish ahead of the 2 runners that forfeited. But everything now I think is set. So
Yeah,
I think we're going to wrap it up. So thanks for stopping in, Martha. Sorry, I was saying that you seem to be one of the newer runners that's coming on really strong. You've had some really good results in some of the casual races that have been popping up throughout the week and rising through the ranks.
Yeah, well, I'm having fun. Races. I'm having fun doing it. That's what matters.
Oh yeah, this is a lot of fun. I have to agree with you. It's nostalgic, a lot of us love the old Dragon Quest series, and it's also it's a little bit of a twist with some competition and strategy and a lot of replay value. It's very different every time you roll a new seed.
It definitely.
So it's a lot of fun. I agree.
Yeah, it definitely extends the replay value of that classic.
I agree. So with that, I think we'll say goodnight to all of our viewers. Thanks everybody for watching tonight. Special thanks to our racers as well as our crew here. We got CyberDark 86 on the tracking, doing an excellent job as always. And Skoosin, definitely appreciate you joining me for a bit on the commentary as well as pulling the restreaming duty tonight. So that was fantastic. So tune in again, same time next week. We're planning another scheduled weekly Dragon Warrior Randomizer race, 9 o'clock Eastern Wednesday nights on the Randomania Network. So, always keep a note and come back for that. And that'll do it. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Have a great